The Roman general thought he had engineered the perfect death trap. The year was 635 of the Christian era, in the month of January. Deep in the Jordan River Valley, near the ancient town of Fahl, a massive imperial army of 80,000 Roman soldiers stood poised to strike. They were backed by the full power of Emperor Heraclius, equipped with heavy steel armor, and defending their own home territory. Facing them was a Muslim force of 30,000 men. The Muslims were tired, far from their desert homeland, and operating in a wet, marshy terrain they had never encountered before. Knowing that the desert-dwelling Arabs loved fast cavalry movement, the Roman commander-general al-Walid decided to use the geography as a lethal weapon. A few miles south of the battlefront, he ordered his engineers to build massive earthen dams across the tributaries of the Jordan River. Within hours, millions of gallons of river water flooded the low-lying plain between Bison and Fahl. What had once been a firm, grassy valley turned into a vast, treacherous swamp of deep, suffocating mud. When the Muslim advance guard tried to move forward on the first day, their horses sank up to their bellies in knee-deep mire. The riders had to dismount and struggle in embarrassment to drag their panicked animals out of the mud. Across the flooded valley, the Roman officers cheered. They believed the desert Arabs were demoralized, stuck, and helpless. Have you ever had a moment in your life where a competitor, an opponent, or a difficult situation engineered a trap for you, making you feel completely stuck and surrounded by obstacles? How did you respond when the ground beneath your feet suddenly gave way? The Roman High Command believed the battle was already won. They decided to launch a massive surprise attack under the cover of total darkness, planning to guide their army through secret dry paths in the marsh and crush the Muslims in their tents before dawn. They were certain the Arabs would be sleeping, defeated by the mud. They did not know who was in command. To understand why the trap failed, you must look at the two men standing at the head of the Muslim army that night. The supreme commander-in-chief of all forces in Syria, appointed directly by Caliph Abu Bakr and confirmed by Caliph Umar, was Amir bin Abdullah bin al-Jarrah, known to history as Abu Ubaidah. He was one of the most revered men in Islam, a veteran of every major battle, and named by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as the trusted one of the nation. By military law, Abu Ubaidah had total authority over every general in Syria. Yet, when the army arrived at Fahl, Abu Ubaidah did something that stunned the Roman spies. Because the region of Fahl lay within the administrative district assigned to another general, a 65-year-old companion, named Shurahbil bin Hasanah, Abu Ubaidah quietly stepped down. Without a single word of complaint, without an atom of personal pride, the supreme commander-in-chief handed overall battle command to Shurahbil and placed himself as a simple wing commander under Shurahbil's orders. Think about the nobility of that act. In human history, how many supreme military commanders or political leaders would willingly surrender their supreme rank to a colleague simply because it served the cause better? If you are enjoying this deep journey into the untold discipline of early history, please take a moment to subscribe to the House of Wisdom and hit the notification bell. Your support allows us to continue bringing these powerful, authentic historical stories to light. This total absence of personal ego among the Sahaba was their true secret weapon. They had spent years at the feet of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, learning that leadership is a sacred burden, not a tool for self-glorification. As the Quran reminds us in the 3rd chapter, verse 159, consulting one another and standing united in humility is the very foundation of divine support. Because Abu Ubaidah and Shurahbil were bound by absolute mutual trust and respect, there was no division in the camp, no political intrigue, and no competing command. The entire army operated as a single, flawless body. While the Romans in Bison were drinking and preparing for their surprise night assault, 65-year-old Shurahbil bin Hasanah did not sleep. He was a scholar, a man who had served as a scribe writing down the divine revelations for the prophet in Medina, but he was also a vigilant warrior who had learned the art of war from Khalid bin al-Walid. Shurahbil knew his cavalry was stuck in the mud. He knew his men were frustrated by the initial failure. But instead of complaining or panicking, he deployed a tight line of alert outposts along the entire edge of the flooded marsh. He gave strict orders that no soldier was to sleep in his armor, and that strong detachments were to hold their battle positions throughout the night. Long after midnight, as the cold fog rose over the Jordan River, the silence of the valley was broken by the distant sound of splashing water and muffled armor. 80,000 Roman soldiers were wading quietly through the secret paths of the marsh, moving toward the Muslim camp. General Sakalar was leading them, confident that he was about to achieve total surprise. As the leading Roman ranks stepped out of the mud onto the dry slope below Fahl, expecting to find sleeping men, they were met by a sight that chilled their blood. Standing in perfect, unbreakable battle formation in the moonlight, weapons drawn and spears leveled, was the entire Muslim army. Shurahbil's outposts had spotted the Roman movement the instant they entered the marsh. The surprise had failed. Immediately upon contact, a violent struggle broke out in the dark. The Romans, realizing their surprise had been spoiled, fought with the desperation of men who had nowhere to retreat. For the remainder of the night, and through the entire following day, 24 straight hours of brutal hand-to-hand combat raged on the slopes of Fahl. The Muslim front held like a wall of solid steel. Abu Ubaidah commanded the left wing, fighting sword in hand like a simple soldier. On the right, Amr bin al-As repulsed assault after assault. In the center, Shurahbil guided the battle with cool, steady precision. By late afternoon of the second day, the sheer physical exhaustion of fighting uphill in heavy iron armor began to break the Roman ranks. General Sakalar himself was struck down in the fighting. Demoralized by the death of their commander and unable to pierce the Muslim line, the Roman generals ordered a general retreat. They turned to head back across the flooded marsh toward Bizun. This was the exact moment Shurahbil bin Hasanah had been waiting for. He had held his men on the defensive until the enemy was completely exhausted. Now, as the sun began to set over the hills, Shurahbil gave the order for a total counterattack. With shouts of triumph, the light, fast-moving desert warriors leaped upon the backs of the retreating Romans. And here, the trap engineered by the Romans executed its own terrifying judgment. In the dark, panic-stricken retreat, the Roman traffic control plan completely failed. Thousands of heavily armored Roman soldiers, weighed down by 90 pounds of steel breastplates, iron helmets, and brass leg guards, stumbled off the narrow tracks into the deep, flooded mud pits they themselves had created. As they sank into the mire, their heavy armor acted like anchors, pulling them under. Those behind trampled those ahead. 10,000 Roman soldiers perished in the marsh in a single evening. The very water trap designed to destroy the army of Islam became the mass grave of its creators. As the Quran states so powerfully in the 35th chapter, verse 43, the plotting of evil surrounds only its own plotters. What do you think is the greatest lesson from the Battle of Fahl? Is it the tactical vigilance of Shurahbil, or the total humility of Abu Ubaidah stepping down from command? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read and reply to every single insight. If you found value in this deep historical narrative, take a second to subscribe to the House of Wisdom, share this video with someone who loves authentic history, and join our growing community of knowledge seekers.